What's up, guys? Scott and Pete here coming at you for another episode of our weekly series. And today we are on the road. What's going on, Scott?
Hey, what's going on, man? Yeah, I know. Perfectly timed. And I think, we decided we're going to do some themed content as we both sit in our beach houses. You in Delaware and me in New Jersey, sunny Asbury Park here.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, thank God the sun is out today. I don't know about you, but yesterday was a little overcast. So I'm excited for a nice sunny day on the beach today.
Well, I don't know if it's my iPad camera as we film on the road here, or if it's just all the sun that I got. Despite it being cloudy yesterday, I'm like red like a lobster and looking very radiant on this camera here. So,
all right, very cool.
So I know we were talking a little bit just retrospective on like beach houses, and I know it's my personal goal to own a beach house. I put it on my vision board for this year. I had come down to this beach area in like January, February of this year. But as you guys might have learned in the first episode, my refinance was a big component to holding me back from being able to make a move. So now I'm kind of reinvigorated and looking to buy a beach house within the next, 6 to 12 months. And Pete, I know you never really had it on your dream list, but you seem to be taking a liking to getting away to beach houses now, huh?
Yeah, man. Definitely. So yeah, I was always more in just like the investment properties at home and building that, retirement. But I got to say, man, I went down to Wildwood last year, took a day in Asbury this year, and now being down here in Delaware, I'm loving it, man. And I just think like the ability to be able to have a place to go on vacation, like right, isn't that like ultimately the goal is like if you can have a house that pays for itself year round, and you can have a place to stay a couple of weeks out of the year. Like, I don't know. I think that's a win. Is that like ultimately what your goal is with the rental property or?
Yeah. I mean, my ultimate goal is to live at the beach year round one day. And yet in the, interim, it's, that idea of almost like doing like a house hack, but at the beach where I want to have the ability to get away to my own beach house, and yet have someone else basically financing that mortgage. And it's taken on a couple different, avenues that we could go with that. It's, do we explore, I know with the place that I'm staying right now, it's an Airbnb. There's 4 units, and it's pretty cool. I struck up a conversation with the owner. They bought it. Lucky, my God, they timed this thing perfectly. They bought it in like 2013, 2014, right when the market had bottomed out. We are a block off the beach here. In Asbury Park, great location with the boardwalk being all rebuilt and everything. Asbury totally revived. They bought this place for $350 back then. You can't find, and it's a 4 unit, so you can't find something like this now, a block off the beach for under $1 million.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. Like that's wow, that's oh man. What were we doing? We were sleeping, man. Come on. Yeah. Where were we then?
The cool thing though is just when you think like you're down and out and oh my God, that can never do it, because I missed the market. I was poking around on the MLS down here and I actually found maybe not a block off the beach, but in one of the towns right down the street, Neptune, I found a 3 unit. So it's 3 front building with 2 units in it, and then there's a back building with 1 unit in it. And it's crazy because I think that's why I say there's so many different avenues you can take. With this one, I was looking at the numbers of what the people are paying for long-term rental right now and thinking that the front building alone with the 2 units could actually pay the whole mortgage and cash flow you like a couple $100. And keep in mind, this is all with me only doing 3.5% down FHA mortgage. So 20 grand out of my pocket, I could be buying a $600,000 3 unit down here. Granted, it's about 5 or 6 blocks off the beach, but now that gives me the flexibility on that back unit, whether I want to test out the Airbnb market, or just, keep it and say, I'm happy cash flowing a couple $100 and I literally have a place I can escape to anytime I want. So,
yeah, but in order to do 3.5% down, you would have to live in it, right? You'd have to live in it.
And that's where, there comes some flexibility in the planning, right?
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. No more needed to say there, but I
don't
think
need to incriminate myself here, but
no, I just wanted to be clear that there are, you know,
So
with certain.
yeah, and I think what we'll have to do is bring on a mortgage guy at some point, because there are a lot of different mortgage options, especially when you're talking about buying a beach house. Um, for someone like me, where I could, in theory, really see myself living at the beach, I might flex that FHA option. I know there is the option to buy a home as like a second home. There are criteria around that. Generally, it has to be viewed, I think, from my understanding, as a place that is. And keep in mind, I think one of the things we talked about with this episode is Pete and I are definitely just starting to explore these options. So everything we're saying is kind of us learning on the road and, just learning as we go. So would love to hear feedback from people maybe who have accomplished the goal of buying an Airbnb property or a beach house.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
But
anybody who's got an Airbnb or something like that, let us know how you did it, how it's looking, how's it going.
maybe we'll have you on a future episode.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're gonna start bringing on some guests, which will be fun. So I mean, as far as like the Airbnb and stuff go, like one thing just from staying in a beach house for a week, which is probably the longest I've stayed in a beach house or really any Airbnb or anything like that. Like the one thing I noticed is like you got to give people directions, man. Like you got to let people know exactly where they're supposed to. Like we had the signs down here are a little confusing, right? It says put your beach pass, like your parking pass, on the mirror, and then it also says like fill out one of those park mobile things. But it's not really super clear as to whether you if you have a pass, do you need to pay for that, whatever. Long story short, my brother parks, we leave the car there because he's got his 2 young kids, and he gets a ticket. And it's like, but I paid for the parking pass for 20 foot. Like, it's confusing. And then like the garbage and recycling, like if you want people to recycle, you need to very clearly say like, this is the recycling can. This is when it goes out. This is what you do. Like, I don't know how the directions are for you over there, but I felt like
Yeah.
people take better care of your house if you make sure it's crystal clear on how for them to do it, right? Because if the people, let's be real, right? We're renting to people, all different kinds of people, families, and then on the other side, if you're the owner of it, why you don't want to be getting texts and emails all the time about where does the recycling go and where does this go? So I just thought that was something that I just picked up from like being in a house, like renting a house.
Yeah, and I think, to be a great Airbnb host, I mean, I've stayed at, I don't know, countless Airbnbs at this point, and it's always interesting to see, right, how different people handle that experience. Because I do think, like, going to an Airbnb creates, because, you've got to ask the question, like, why does Airbnb even exist in the first place, right? It came in as almost like a replacement alternative to staying at hotels, because hotels have gotten so expensive and so cookie cutter, and Airbnb was a great alternative to provide housing to people on a short-term basis. And so I think it's creating that experience, and the people that I noticed have done it best. Like this place has a whole guidebook that you can flip through. You get not only information on the house that's useful. I knew when I had to take out the recycling, the garbage, where to put it. But then cool stuff of like, right, you're traveling somewhere that, even as many times as I've been to Asbury Park, the owner knows all the cool spots to check out in Asbury Park better than I ever could, because they're a local. So there's a lot of information like that in there. So I think that's true. And it's funny because when I was searching for this place, I came across an Airbnb that had like a 3.4 star rating on the owner. And I was like, do I really want to stay in a place like that? It's that same concept that we have in everything we do these days. Reviews matter. And I think you want to create the best experience for your guests so that you get those positive reviews, and it just kind of all falls into place from there. So
yeah, man, when we were last year during the pandemic and everything, right? That was a great thing because it's not a hotel where you're with a lot of people, but you can kind of choose who you're with and you can rent the place. But we had a terrible experience out in the Poconos. It said there was air conditioning. What it really was one of those, floor units, and the hose was like haphazardly shoved through the fireplace exhaust. And it was just, it was hot. It was gross.
Nah.
It was just, and oh, it was, I mean, we made the best out of it, you always do, but it was just, one of those things where you're right. Like you really got to look at the reviews, and you have to give good reviews too, or bad, honest reviews. So,
yep.
But as we're coming up 10 minutes here, I know we're both eager to get back to our vacations, but we want to make sure we you know, we made sure we made a commitment to do this, so we're doing it. So, any final thoughts on beach houses and you know, vacation rental?
I just think, this episode was, again, something that we're exploring it. So definitely give us feedback. Let us know if you have invested or bought an Airbnb. Honestly, it doesn't matter whether it's at the beach or out in the mountains. You mentioned the Poconos, these things, it seems like more and more I'm just seeing online and trying to dive into, learning how to make this work myself. So would love feedback from anybody out there who's listening and has done it themselves. And I think that key is, good reviews. Just like being a good landlord, you want to be a good Airbnb host because it's only going to suit you and suit the people that you're serving with, given a place to stay. So,
Yeah,
definitely ready to go hit the beach.
Great. All right, sounds good, man. Yeah, I'm gonna go do the same. Got a little more work to do, but that's the perk of real estate agent and downfall, truthfully. Let's be real. You working, but you're on vacation. But hey, man, I'd rather be working from the beach or a beach house than working back home. So anyway, all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. If you have any experience or just have questions, man, we have resources to some awesome people that we can find answers to questions if you're looking to explore something like this. And yeah, hopefully next year we'll be shooting this same video, but from a beach house that we own. So that sounds good.
There we go.
All right, guys.